I'm sorry. If you guys watch this anime, which I highly recommend you guys to watch this anime, then you'll understand why I did that. But anyway, Armitage 3 is a futuristic cyberpunk style anime that is full of action, that has been made in 1997, that has been directed by Hiroyuki Ochi. In 2046, the overpopulation of the Earth has been led by the colonization of Mars with the aid of the first type androids. Men were able to begin terraforming the unfriendly environment of Mars and build the city St. Louis. Sometime after the start of the colonization, the city is completed and inhabited by great numbers of people and second type robots. Much improved of the first types, Ross Syllabus, a middle-aged policeman from Chicago. Hey, I'm from Chicago! Anyway, flies to St. Louis, was soon asked to be transferred to the Martian Police Department to escape from his past, and while doing this, he soon meets his new partner, Naomi Armitage. What the fuck was this? Wow! Now look, I have never seen Armitage 3. I haven't even known that this anime existed. Now I remember when I was, I think I'm about to say I was around 11 or 12 years old. I have seen Armitage, but the sequel, because the sequel was always on television. If you was my age and you was watching anime through those hidden channels like Showtime Beyond, Max, Stars Network, or Action, which is one of my favorite channels of all time, still is to this day, even though they didn't stop with the whole anime adaptations. But that just shows you how much I like it. It was hard for you to pass up Armitage. It was hard for you to pass the next Armitage sequel series. But I did not know that it was a sequel, because the way how the film started, I was already pulled in. Probably not completely when it comes to character development and how the story was starting off, but I was still entertained. Now, why they didn't show Armitage 3 on television, I kind of know why. Because Armitage 3 doesn't hold back on any aspects. It doesn't hold back on the action. The action is brutal. It doesn't hold back on the sexual references. Look, they show a lot of shit. They show vagina in your face, like bald vagina, hairy vagina, like mechanical vagina, like any vagina you can think of is on this anime. They don't pussyfoot around. They show a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of swearing on this anime. And anime like this, even though I was open-door minded to the maturity of anime standards when I was a child, I noticed there was some animes that I knew I wasn't able to. If my parents saw me watching Perfect Blue or X, or if they even caught me watching this one as a child, this would be a good terminology of showing people that anime is not for kids. Therefore, anime is not cartoons either. But I love this anime. And this anime had every single trope aspect on here, but they played it out perfectly. And I highly suggest everybody that's done watching this review to check this anime out. There's no excuse. They even have a link to this anime on YouTube that I'm going to be putting in below in the description box. Now, since I'm talking about the action, how about the pacing of the action? The action is it's right in front of your face. There's never really a dull moment with the action. When they show the action, it really doesn't like to hold back its punches when it comes to the material of the gore and the violence. When people get shot in the head, it shows you the actual shots of people getting shot in the head, and it shows it consistently. To the point where even me that love violent movies and violent anime and violent shows and violent just anything, violent video games and all that stuff, therefore I'm still the nicest person ever. There were times when I was watching this anime and I was feeling uncomfortable. I'm like, man, this is a little glorified, But I like how this anime like to break the fourth wall, because there was even a time when it was doing a police investigation. I'm talking about Ross's character, and one of the deputies was looking at the footage when this girl got shot in her head. And he was saying, look, that's enough, cut that off, I'm actually getting sick. And this is a guy that's a professional police officer. He's been doing this for a long time. So if he was grossed out, I didn't feel bad about me being grossed out either. But that's just showing you how much of this shit is on this anime, just so you can be buckled down and prepared for the ride. I thought this anime was going to have that, but not to an extent where it would just show you that much detail, which is a great thing in my opinion. Same thing with the sexuality. I was surprised of how much sexual shit was on this anime. And for all that stuff that they show in this anime, I'm surprised that they got away with it. But that just shows you how much freedom that shows in television series and even mostly anime had back then. Right now, a lot of censorship is going on now. It was around back then, but only when it was necessary. People see stuff like this and they ignore it, or they just turn the other way, just don't want to have anything to do with it. But now these days, people are attacking it with full force. So I suggest you guys, before they attack Armitage, to go ahead and buy the I don't think they got the Blu-ray version, but the DVD version, oh my god, the DVD version is still worth the purchase price. I bought this on eBay for $25. That comes with both of these, the Armitage 3 Polymatrix and the Armitage Dual Matrix. It's worth the money. In my opinion, I think it's a masterpiece. This is just me saying this. By me being hyped up and watching this and being pulled in from start to finish with every single aspect possible in this anime, I'm surprised this anime is not like one of those rare overpriced purchase marketing that people would like to put out when everybody's talking about it, like Ninja Scroll. Like there's some boxes on Ninja Scroll on eBay that's like around $400, $500. That is criminal. But buy this while it's still affordable. Let's talk about the music. Now, you know me when it comes to futuristic cyberpunk anime movies. I said this with Appleseed. I've said this with a lot of other animes and some games that could refer to this. The anime is great. The anime music, the anime music is phenomenal. I like how they like to mix up certain songs and certain like themes of what's going on. They even put some jazz into this anime, and I'm like, okay. And jazz kind of gives me like a little bit of a weak heart sensation to it, but they knew how to pull its punches and they knew how to duke them out to you when it was necessary with the soundtrack. I was pulled in from start to finish with the songs and with the themes of what was going on when they were just having dramatic aspects, fighting, sexual stuff going on, or just when they was having some downtime. I know I keep saying this, but I gotta say this over and over and over again, just in case I got newcomers coming into this. Music is what pulls you in so it can prompt your emotions. Just like how when there's a death going on in the anime and it always rains and a person looks down, or when the wind blows, when they just find out that there's a tragedy happening. It happens a lot on animes, and they always play that sorrow music just so it can sink you in. They do this a lot with Armitage, not with the sorrow gesture, but also with everything else, and it plays out fantastic. As for the animation itself, for it to be made in 1997, I thought it was great. A tad bit ahead of its time when it comes to the technology, but when it comes to the animation quality, I loved it. It took me back to when I was around 7 years old, and you know me, I have a weak heart for that also. But I thought it was great. It stood out for me, and there was never really a point where I was looking at the movie and it was like tropey, or the sketches, or just the art style of it was just out of place or unbalanced. No, every single art style in here, in the environment, and the androids, and just a futuristic feel to it with the cyberpunk thriller, it was great. And me talking about this makes me want to watch it again. Jesus. Let me get back on topic. Let me talk about the story itself. Now, the story is great. The story pulls you in a lot. The story first starts off with Ross's character. Now, Ross, it tells you what really happens to him. He lost a certain somebody by an android that had shot down his partner and his lover, if I'm not mistaken. And it has grown him to a grudge of him hating robots and hating any type of cybernetic enhanced human beings, because he felt like they don't have no emotion or no sense of living or caring for human life. But by him feeling this way, he ended up coming across Armitage, that secretly to him, he doesn't even know that she is a cyborg. So he's busy telling her how he really feels, but at the same time, he doesn't tell her how he feels about robots. He begins to like Armitage, because let's just face it here, Armitage character, Ross, he's professional. Ross, he's a very cool guy. But Armitage, on the other hand, Armitage, I kind of like her more than Ross, because like I mentioned, Ross, he is very serious. He takes things to the next level when it comes to, proceeding his mission, and make sure everything's be done in the most professional way. And man, like, you can tell by his presence that he is not the person to be tolerated with. But Armitage, she's the same way, but she handles things with breaking the ice, joking and stuff. And when things be serious, then she acts serious too. But she is an open-minded woman. I like that about Armitage. And not to mention also, but she's she is a hornball. She is a walking female that just wants to be so much. There's been so many times where she just comes to Ross and she be flirtatious with him, and then there are times where Ross try to push her away, and there are times where she tries to impress him by how, I would like to say, a bitch she can be towards other people just so he can be aroused. And Ross, he kind of picks that up, but at the same time he tries to be professional, and it's tough for him because I see that there are moments where he does check her out, but he doesn't want her to notice. And I like that both of those characters, because I didn't want them to act the same way. If you're gonna have characters or partners in animes like this, I need somebody to be the yin and be the yang. And I like this about them. And to make things more perfect, by him being a human and by her being a cyborg, they both had their own differences. Like I mentioned with Ross's character, the reason why he hates cyborgs, Armitage has her own reason why she hates humans, and it's because of how Ross feels about cyborgs. She believes that humans treat cyborgs like trash, and as they had this secret hatred towards the opposite of what they are, they begin to have a bond with each other. So when things begin to get very, very, very serious for them and they begin to express their emotions, they still had that type of hatred. But by them liking each other, they begin to grow to accept each other's differences and at the same time falling in love with each other. I love that, and it was perfectly paced, and I had no problem of how it all played out. I thought that was well executed and well warranted, especially with Ross's character, because by him losing his loved one by a cyborg, he falls in love with Armitage, and he has to accept the fact that, look, by me making peace, I need to let it all go, and he does that in the most acceptable way possible. By me being a mental therapist, I believe every single aspect of it, and that's why I keep saying that this anime is a little bit ahead of its time, because by me watching it back then, I probably wouldn't even have bought into that point. Honestly, I probably would have just been bought into the sexual scenes and the action scenes. I'm just being dead ass. Now, what's every anime without a bad guy, huh? Well, the anime does have an enemy. In fact, the enemy is pretty vicious. The enemy has an understanding of why it does what it does. I don't want to spoil too much, because by me spoiling the enemy, I have to spoil the twist, because the twist is very fucking crazy. When you hear it, you be like, are you serious? But the twist was the twist was so crazy. It explains everything about Armitage and just how things is playing off. Because even though you know enough about Armitage in her presence, you don't know enough about her motivation. How was she created? What was really going on with her? And by the main villain showing up, it kind of makes sense. And then when it reveals itself, you just be on edge even more. And I like that, because you don't know which side to take. Because the enemy side, even though what the enemy was doing was fucked up, I was still on the believing side of understanding the enemy situation. Kind of going back to the whole humans hating cyborgs and cyborgs hating humans situation. Same thing with the Appleseed in 1986. But I think that Armitage has kind of done it better, in my opinion, because this enemy was not a terrorist on Armitage. This enemy was basically just created by seeing his own vision of just how things was being played out. And I thought I liked that, because he had an open mind instead of him thinking of the mind of destruction. So he was built from the ground up to seeing how fucked up things was. And I think that's the best way to make a villain, by him beginning to be good at first, because he's going to be harder to take down, because he knows how the good guy thinks. This anime is great. This anime is fantastic. I have not one bad thing to say about this anime at all. I am loving this anime a lot, and I kind of can't wait to watch the second one, because the way how the anime ended the first one, it wasn't really a cliffhanger, but it let you know what was going on with Ross and Naomi's character as they was beginning to fall in love even deeply, by them asking if they can have one more partner in their journey. And Ross said, we'll have to think about it. I love this anime a lot, and I can't wait for you guys to check this review out and check out this movie, as I will leave it in the description box. You guys won't be sorry. I'm gonna have to give Armitage 3 Polymatrix an A+. I'm sorry I took so long with this review. I was going to review it the other day, but I had kids over, and we were just discussing a lot of things when it comes to the project that I'm doing on my channel pretty soon, which is the horror YouTube series TTC, which is called The Teacher Chronicles. If y'all haven't seen us discussing this, I'm gonna leave it in the end bar section, or I might just leave it in the description box. I kind of want to leave this as much anime related as much as possible. But that's all I have to say for today. Please stay tuned for more upcoming reviews and anime videos headed your way. This is TCT, your critic teacher, and you guys have a good day.